So, good morning. We thank God that we have spent one more week, GCQ pa rin, no? Lahat na ng CQ, natikman na natin. So, hindi natin alam kung ano pa ang susunod, no? But God has given us opportunities these days to just rest and I guess, yan, para lang tayo maging safe. Sabi nga ngayon lang gumanda ang word na stay negative, but be positive. Okay, so we will continue our study on enduring to the end with characters from the Bible. So our character study for this morning ay si Ruth at saka si Naomi. Their story is found in the book of Ruth. So for our reading, please read chapter 1. Okay. Now for the background about Naomi and Ruth, at that time, yung story na to ay nangyari when judges were ruling Israel, no, hindi pa kings. Tapos, a severe famine came to the land sa Judah. So, si Elimelech, isa sa mga resident doon sa Bethlehem, sa Judah, ay nag-decide na umalis upang humanap siguro ng mas magandang opportunity at they will escape this severe famine that has come to the land. So ang sabi diyan sa chapter 1, they were Ephrathites from Bethlehem. So Elimelech, together with his wife Naomi and two sons, Mahon and Kilion, went and settled in Moab. Eventually, his two sons, Mahon and Kilion, married Moabites. Si Orpha, yung isa, at saka yung isa, si Ruth. And hindi sinabi diyan kung gaano katagal sila doon sa land, sa Moab, no, nagsettle. But Elimelech died. Later, after 10 years, yun na namang dalawang sons naman nila ang namatay. Okay? So Moab is present-day Jordan. Yung kung saan si King Hussein ngayon. So, nandyan yung location ng Moab noong araw. Okay? So, with that little background, isunod natin yung ano ba ang mga difficulties at saka challenges after Elimelech, the husband, and the two sons died. Naiwan si Naomi at saka yung dalawa niyang daughters-in-law. So, after that, they heard the news. Si Naomi heard the news that again, the Lord blessed the land of Judah and the famine was over. No? Now it is prosperous again, and so naisip niyang bumalik sa Judah. No? And the two daughters-in-law actually wanted to come with her. Kaya lang, sabi niya, mas okay na maiwan na lang sila sa Moab. So Orpha decided to return to her family, but Ruth decided to stay with Naomi and go back to Judah with her. Yan. Okay. So pagdating nila doon, no, siguro syempre Naomi was gone for several years, no, and Ruth was a foreigner in Judah kasi bago lang siya doon, no, even if she was married into the family of Naomi and Elimelech. Pagdating niya doon sa Judah, foreigner siya. So, ano-ano ba yung mga challenges nila? There's no specific mention in the entire book, yung chapters 1 to 4, kung ano-ano yung kanilang naging difficulties. Pero looking at their situation, pwede nating maisip kung ano-ano kaya yon. Unang-una, they were foreigners. No? Una, si Naomi sa Moab, tapos si Ruth naman pagdating nila sa Judah. They were foreigners. No? The Lord in Leviticus had many commands related to how the Israelites should actually deal and treat foreigners in their land. Because it's not easy to be a foreigner. No? Those of you who have gone to different countries, lalo na yung medyo matagal-tagal kayo, alam niyo yung difficulty ng andun ka sa malayo, tas kakaiba yung kultura, even the language, or everything is different. So the struggle to be a foreigner is really a challenge, no? So anyway, pag foreigner ka, maybe especially during that time, they had no rights. Hindi pareho ng citizen doon sa land. So katulad din ngayon, uh, in many countries, meron pa rin mga ganong struggles pag foreigner ka. Kunyari, example yung ating mga OFWs. In many countries these days, they experience discrimination, no, neglect, ganyan, no, because they are not considered citizens, and so their rights were not equal to those of the citizens. So being a foreigner in the land was one of their challenges. Pangalawa, they were women. Yan. Well, maski naman ngayon, no, although siguro, ewan ko kung mas bawas na, pero during those times, ang mga babae ay hindi talaga considered as important uh, in many cultures. So even today, women experience discrimination and violence because of some practices in the culture. So hindi ganun ka binibigyan ng halaga at ng karapatan ang mga kababaihan. So siguro lalo na nung unang panahon, no? So foreigners sila, then they were women. Pagkatapos noon, they were also widows, no? Hindi lang sila pero widows. They had no husband to protect and provide for them. Kasi nung araw, talagang ang kabuhayan ng isang babae ay nakadikit o connected doon sa estado ng kanyang asawa. The women then were highly dependent on husbands for their protection and their provision. So economically, hindi sila stable because there was no one to provide for them. Tapos, yung pang-apat, they were not only widows, but they were also without sons. Or they were childless. Well, sinabi dyan, may apo siya. Well, anyway, they were childless. The sons died and the daughters-in-law did not have children with them. So, yung childlessness na yan actually means there is no future. Kasi nung araw, sons were important so that they will carry on the name and inherit the property of the family. No? So, pagka ganyan, parang ang isang implication yan, kung wala kang anak, especially sons, there is no future for you. No? So, yung isa pa, panlima, they were also poor. Sabi ni Naomi dyan, I came out, nung umalis sila, sabi niya, I was full. Pero sabi niya dun sa chapter 1 din, sabi niya, I came back empty-handed. No? So, I don't know exactly what she means by that. Siguro hindi naman walang-wala. Pero, siguro compared to the kind of life that she knew when they were still in Moab, she felt empty-handed. It's like she had nothing. No? So, let's imagine this kind of situation. No? Na foreigner ka, babae ka, widow ka, wala kang anak, at mahirap ka. So can you imagine the sense of abandonment, helplessness, even loneliness, and the sense of hopelessness dahil wala kang anak, walang future, no? And the insecurity that they must have felt. No? So, challenging yung pagsisimula nila ng panibagong buhay when they decided to return to Judah. No? And actually, Naomi expresses her anguish over their situation. No? Actually, pag nakita natin doon sa binasa natin, her responses were in contrast to the kind of response that Job and Joseph had. sa kanilang trouble and difficulties in life, no? But anyway, tingnan natin kung ano yung mga in-express niya diyan, ano, para makita natin yung kanilang pinagdadaanan na difficulty or trouble. In verse 13a, ito yung sabi ni Naomi, "Things are far more bitter for me than you." Sabi niya, sinabi yata niya dun sa dalawa niyang daughters-in-law. Their situation has made her bitter. So, yun ang isang pananaw niya. Bitter ang buhay para sa kanya. And in the same verse, 13b, sabi niya, "The Lord has raised His fist against me." Pakiramdam niya, kinakalaban siya ng Panginoon, no? Uh, Yun ang nasa isip niya, that God is against her. And she felt abandoned by God. So, pag raised His fist against me, yung parang, yun, kinakalaban ka talaga ng Panginoon, ano? And in verse 20, sabi niya dun sa mga women who actually welcomed her, at least kilala pa siya doon sa community, sabi niya, "Don't call me Naomi, but call me Mara." Yung Naomi po, ang ibig sabihin niyan, pleasant. No? Pero dahil sa situation niya, and she has become bitter, sabi niya, "Palitan niyo na lang yung pangalan ko." No? Parang nag-decide siya, "Palitan ko na kaya identity ko, hindi na ako pleasant. Gusto ko nang maging bitter." So, wag po natin papangalanan ang ating mga anak ng Mara. Para pong Dolores yan, sorrow. No? So, she was really bitter. No? So, palitan na lang yung pangalan. Ayoko ng Naomi. Ayaw na niya maging pleasant. So, she went from pleasant to bitter. No? So, she wanted to change her identity. Bakit? Ito yung kanyang iba pang mga naisip. Sinabi niya diyan, "The Almighty has made my life very bitter for me." No, ayan na, patindi na ng patindi. Una sabi niya, more bitter. Ito na, very bitter. And specifically, sinabi niya, ang Diyos na ang gumawa nun. "The Almighty has made my life very bitter for me." No? Tapos yung isa pa, in verse 22, sabi niya, "The Lord has caused me to suffer." So, talagang in-specify na niya, ang Panginoon kasi, no? Siya yung, He is the one who has caused all this trouble upon me. He has made me bitter, He has caused me to trouble, He has caused me to suffer, no? So, I'm in trouble. And in verse 21, ito yung sinabi niya na, "I went away full, but the Lord brought me back empty-handed." So, again, minention niya, ang Panginoon, no? Talagang tinanggal lahat. Walang-wala na talaga ako. So, she is really attributing all of her difficulties and sufferings as being caused by the Lord. No? For Naomi, her suffering was so overwhelming and she was so overcome, and her losses, loss of husband, loss of sons, loss of resources, yung being empty-handed, and a place to live in, were just too much to bear. God has dealt with her and has treated her so harshly. No? Kaya ganon, ayun na niya, hindi na Naomi, Mara na talaga, bitter na. So, siya na mismo, she convinced herself na ganon talaga yung situation niya, and so that God was too hard on her and has really abandoned her altogether. Yan. See, very significant yung mismong ni-name niya ang Panginoon as the one who has made her life bitter and caused her to suffer and brought her back empty-handed. Ano? So she convinced herself that God has abandoned her and that God is too hard on her. But is this true? No. Let's see, basahin po natin yung Lamentations 3, 31 and 32. Let me read this slowly. Sabi niya sa verse 31, "For no one is abandoned by the Lord forever." In verse 32, sabi niya, "Though He brings grief, He also shows compassion. because of the greatness of His unfailing love. Okay. So, if that verse is true, tingnan natin, paano ba naging, uh, well, even if she felt abandoned, sabi doon, no, hindi naman nag-abandon ng Panginoon forever. And then, despite the grief, God shows His compassion. So now, let's look at that story of Naomi and Ruth and see how God has shown His compassion to them. No? Unang-una, Ruth was given by God to Naomi as a daughter. Hindi na daughter-in-law, daughter na talaga. No? Tapos, she was her companion, she was the caretaker of Naomi kahit walang sons. Ruth took over those responsibilities. No? So makita natin yan doon sa una, yung pag-pledge ni Ruth ng kanyang loyalty at saka commitment kay Naomi. Sabi niya, where you go, I go. Where your people will be my people. And your God will be my God. And where you die, sabi niya, doon din ako. I will be buried there with you. So, ganun yung loyalty niya at saka commitment niya kay Naomi. No? And then, in chapter 4, verse 15b, ang sabi ng mga women na nakakita kay Ruth and the kind of relationship that she had with Naomi, ang description sa kanya, sabi, your daughter-in-law who loves you and uh, has been better to you than 7 sons. So, ganun yung paano naging blessing si Ruth kay Naomi. Ano? She has done so many things for her, taking care of her, making sure that she is provided. No? So, makita natin yun when she went and joined the harvesters. Maya ituloy natin yung story na yun. No? So, Naomi is not exactly alone. Kaya lang dahil blinded siya ng kanyang anguish at saka ng kanyang uh, uh, nakikita niya lang yung difficulty and trouble that she has, hindi niya nakita yung blessing na yon na ibinigay sa kanya ng Panginoon in the person of Ruth. Okay? So, isa pa, no? Paano ba pinakita ng Panginoon itong compassion na ito? Nakabalik sila ni Ruth sa Judah despite of the fact na they were women. Hindi ko alam kung they traveled alone o silang dalawa lang, may kasama sila. But if we would imagine, hindi ganun kadali yung mag-travel nung unang panahon. No? Hindi natin alam kung anong ginamit nilang means of transportation or perhaps most of the time they had to walk and they would perhaps be carrying some of their belongings. So, very challenging yung travel na yon that they did coming from Moab into Judah. Hindi ko lang po alam yung distance noon, no? Pero, dahil wala naman yung klase ng mga transportation na alam natin ngayon, it would have taken them many days. No? And it would have been a very dangerous travel for them. But God protected them so that they were able to return to the land at a time of prosperity. No? God brought her back to restore her and to prosper her. Siyempre, hindi pa niya kikita yun. Ano? Pero later, yun yung purpose ng Panginoon kung bakit hinayaan sila at tinulungan silang makabalik. So, isa yun sa mga blessing, nakabalik sila sa Judah. Tapos, yung pangatlong pagpapakita ng compassion ng Panginoon sa kanila, God has provided for them yung food that they needed during the harvest season. No? Actually, yung timing ng pagbalik nila was just right. No? It was the right season for them to come. They were not too early or too late kasi ito yung dalawang harvests yung minention dyan na nangyari during their time of return. No? Yung una, yung barley harvest at saka sumunod din yung wheat harvest. So there was plenty of food. No? And so part yun ng provision ng Panginoon sa kanila. No? That they came right in time of the harvest. So maraming pagkain at sa land at that time. And it is just good that Ruth was a hardworking woman, no? So hindi siya yung tipong na-depressed din kamukha ni mother-in-law, no? Pero she found ways, no, to bring provision into their home. One day she asked permission from Naomi to join the harvesters. And so she went and looked for a field where harvest was happening, and so she asked permission from the one who was managing or in charge of the harvest so that she can pick up the grains that are left behind by the harvesters. Actually, ito pong practice na ito yata yung tawag doon gleaning, no? It is also instituted in the Old Testament sa Leviticus. Kasi ang heart ng Panginoon is also for the poor and the widows who do not, especially those who do not own any property, na hindi sila nakakapagpatanim at wala silang harvest, no? So, ang sabi doon sa Leviticus, na pag nag-harvest kayo, wag ninyong sisimutin yung grain. Mag-iwan kayo para yun sa mga taong nangangailangan, pupulutin nila yon para sila man magkaroon ng share sa harvest. No? So that was how God really took care of the poor and the needy. And so this was what Ruth did, no? Sumusunod siya dun sa mga naggagapas, tapos kung ano yung naiiwan nila, pinupulot niya, tapos iipunin yon. And at the end of the day, pwede mo nang iuwi yon, no? Na provision for you. So Ruth provided for Naomi. So yung side story doon sa pagpunta-punta niya doon sa field para makakuha ng mga ng grain sa pagpupulot, no, picking up after the harvesters. Nagkataon, syempre in-arrange ng Panginoon niya, no. Nagkataon na yung field na napili niya ay field ni Boaz. In the chapter, Boaz is described as a wealthy and an influential man. And that actually he is a relative of Elimelech, the husband of Naomi. And when Boaz saw her, she found favor kay Boaz. Tapos nung nalaman niya kung sino siya, may dalawang bagay na ginawa si Boaz doon. Una, sabi niya doon sa mga men who were harvesting, do not give her a hard time. In other words, he protected her from the harassment of the men. Kasi ganun yun. No? Kaya sabi niya, sumunod ka dun sa mga women na nag-harvest para doon ka mamulot. Tapos pangalawa, sinabihan din niya yung mga harvesters na talagang sadyain nila na maglaglag o to pull out some of the grain from what they have harvested para makarami si Ruth ng mapulot. And at one time actually, in-invite pa siya na sumama dun sa kanilang meal. No? So she found favor in the eyes of Boaz. So nung nangyari yon, mas maraming naiuwi si Ruth. And she was protected, and even after the barley harvest, sinabihan pa rin siya na huwag ka na lilipat ng ibang field, dito ka na sa field ko, at kung may harvesters, sumunod ka sa kanila, especially the women harvesters, so she can bring home food for her and Naomi. Okay, so yun yung pangatlo. Yung pang-apat, na ito, later makita natin sa chapter 4, God has already prepared a family redeemer in the person of Boaz. So una, napunta si Ruth doon sa field ni Boaz. Pangalawa, she found favor in the eyes of Boaz, and Boaz protected her and provided for them doon sa kanyang field, no? But at the same time, siya rin yung family redeemer. Nung unang panahon po, ito yung tawag din dito kinsman redeemer, no? Pero doon sa New Living Translation, ang tawag ay family redeemer. Ito po yung relative na pwedeng mag-redeem sa widow ng isang kamag-anak, upang nang sa ganon maipagpatuloy yung heritage ng pamilya, perhaps para magkaroon ng anak who will carry on the family name and inherit the family's property. So ito yung siya yung magpapatuloy ng line, no? So Boaz is a family redeemer. Pero yung side story po niyan, nung ginawa na ni Ruth yung sinabi ni Naomi, para nang sa ganun ay sabi kay Boaz na ikaw ay aking family redeemer. Meron pa palang isa na relative sila na mas closer, na mas yun dapat muna ang una na i-consider na maging family redeemer. And so Boaz arranged to meet with him and told him about Naomi and Ruth and about the practice of being a family redeemer. In the end, nag-decide yung relative na yon na hindi niya kayang i-redeem, no, si sila Naomi or si Ruth and Mary Ruth at the same time. So as it happened, uh, things were arranged accordingly. I believe that God has arranged that accordingly. Boaz married Ruth, no? Tapos yung sa chapter 4 in particular, ang sabi diyan, yung mga women of the town actually said this to Naomi. Sabi niya, "Praise the Lord who has provided you with a family redeemer." No? Tapos in verse 16, blines siya, sabi ng mga women, yung may he restore your youth, the son that later on came out of the marriage of Boaz and Ruth, and take care of you in your old age. Naomi has a son again, sabi nila, to carry the name of the, that is to carry the name of the family and to inherit yung whatever inheritance the family of Elimelech had. So prepare na yun ng Panginoon, no? But more than this, yung panglima na magpapakita ng compassion ng Panginoon na later pa lang mangyayari sa buhay nila. Naomi's husband, yung line ni Elimelech, became part of the lineage, yung genealogy of David and then of Jesus. So Ruth and Boaz became parents of Obed, who was the father of Jesse, who became the father of David. And makita natin yung connection nun sa genealogy ni Jesus, na they were from Bethlehem, they were Ephrathites, at doon yung lineage kung saan si Jesus ay nanggaling. So, she was honored with a royal and eternal heritage, no? Beyond all the difficulties and the troubles that they have experienced, binigyan sila ng ganong klase ng opportunity and privilege from the Lord na yung son na yon ay maging masama doon sa lineage ng Panginoong Jesus, no? So, yung iba doon, hindi nakita ni Naomi, pero sana man lang nakita niya yung blessing ni Ruth, no? Saka yung pero she was so bitter, hindi niya masyado na-appreciate yung the way God has shown compassion. But thankfully, Naomi was able to redeem herself in the end, no? Bagamat sinabi niyang mara siya, there are meron namang implication doon na nung nangyari yung magpakasal si Ruth kay Boaz, so na-restore yung kanilang property kasi he was a wealthy and an influential man. And then they had a son na, ang sabi nga ng mga women doon, siya yung mag-aalaga kay Naomi. And of course, as I have said, doon nang galing si Obed yon, doon nang galing si Jesse, ang tatay ni David. And so it was a royal lineage and an eternal lineage, no? So, yon, na-redeem naman niya yung kanyang sarili. Palagay ko, bumalik siya from Mara to being Naomi again. No? So, yan. So, what can we learn from the story of Naomi and Ruth? So, let me use yung acrostic ng pangalan ni Naomi. No? So, hindi naman bago yung karamihan dito, but this is a just to reinforce what we have already been learning the past series that we had, not only this series, pero yung mga iba pang series na ginawa na natin about walking with God and this time yung enduring to the end. No? So, yung letter N, yung aking naisip lang. Maybe you can also think of your own acoustics ng pagdating dito. Yung letter N, sabi ko dito, never allow your situation to overwhelm or overcome you and shape you and how you behave in trying times. Okay, ulitin ko lang po. Never allow your situation to overcome or overwhelm you such that it will shape you and your behavior during trying times. No? So, isa ito sa nangyari kay Naomi. No? Nakita niya yung sitwasyon niya, nakita niya yung how difficult life has become and all this trouble that her losses has brought upon her. So, naging bitter siya. No? So, ganun din ang pwedeng mangyari sa atin kung gagawin natin yon, that we will allow the life's difficulties and challenges to overwhelm and overcome us at wala na tayong nakita kundi napakahirap naman lahat, no? Wala akong ganito, siguro kalaban na ako ng Panginoon. Ganun din, no? Kamukha niya, we will become bitter. No? We will become unwise. No? Tama kapag isip ng tama, kung ano-ano yung iniisip mong mali, no? Ina-accuse mo na ang Panginoon. No? We will also, lose sight of what is true and what is right about who God is and what He is doing in our life. No? So, resist, no, yung temptation na yon to be overwhelmed by our difficulties in life. Although, syempre, hindi naman ganun kadali yon. Pero, that is the only way to go. Kasi pag nag-dwell ka doon sa mga difficulties mo, kamukha nung nakita natin doon sa nangyari kay Naomi, all the more, life will be miserable. So, ang maaari nating gawin dito, katulad na ng mga napag-aralan na natin, ay wag nating i-allow itong mga difficulties na ito to crowd and cloud out what we know to be true about God and your experience of His reality, of His presence, and His purposes in our life. Para hindi tayo from Naomi to Mara, kamukha nung nakita natin dun sa example ni Naomi dyan. Okay? Tapos, related to this, yung A, hindi rin bago ito. Sabi ko dito, access by declaring and affirming what you know to be true of God. So, related talaga siya doon. No? What you know to be true of God, His Word, His promises, and your identity as a child of God. Huwag mong kalimutan yon. So, siguro kung inalala yun ni Naomi at those very challenging times in her life, no, maaaring hindi naging ganun yung kanyang reaction. Okay? So, i-access natin yon at i-affirm natin yung, at i-declare natin kung sino ang Panginoon sa atin, kung sino tayo, at ano ang sinasabi sa atin ng kanyang salita. No? So, yun po yung isa sa mga antidote natin dyan over being depressed or overcome by our difficulties. So, yung O sa Naomi, no? Sabi ko dito, open your eyes to the evidences of God's uh, grace, of His presence, and of His goodness and unfailing love in spite of the troubles or difficulties that you are experiencing. Kasi meron yun parang si sa buhay ni Naomi, meron siyang troubles, hindi naman natin tinitinayo, no? Life was difficult, no? Pero let's not fail to affirm and at the same time see where God is at work and where God is present in our lives, no? So nakita natin doon yung 5 points natin kanina na dami namang blessing din at God has shown compassion to her in so many ways. It's just that she failed to see them kasi nga na-overwhelm siya masyado na sa sobrang bigat ang tingin niya doon sa pinagdadaanan niya. She was overwhelmed such that she was blinded by how is God uh, being compassionate to her, no? Yun na lang kay Ruth, diba, obvious, pero hindi niya na-appreciate yun. So, at sabi sa Lamentations 3, verses 22 to 23, great is God's faithfulness. Gusto ko yung version ng New Living Translation dito. Sabi niya, His mercies begin afresh each morning. They are new every morning, sabi. Pero yung pagka-state ng New Living Translation ay maganda. Sabi niya, His mercies begin. Laging umpisa, no? Afresh. Laging bago nga naman. Each morning is new, as each day is new. So His mercies are also new every morning. So, ang maganda rito, let us wake up anticipating and being mindful of the mercies that God has in store for us each day. Maging aware tayo doon. Let's look around us. Let's be intentional about asking God, Lord, what new mercies do you have in mind for me today? No, so that we will not lose sight of His faithfulness and of His compassion upon us. No? So siguro kung ni-review lang ni Naomi yung mga everyday na anong ginagawa ng Panginoon para sa kanya at kay Ruth, siguro na bawas-bawasan yung kanyang sense of abandonment, hopelessness, and bitterness na yan na she has allowed herself to wallow in. No? So, let me just quote Chris Tygrin, who has this to say. Sabi niya, we must deliberately and consistently see God in our lives. So, ano yun? It is something that we decide to do every day of our life, to look for those fresh mercies, new mercies that God gives to us each day, so that we are strengthened and we are encouraged rather than discouraged by the difficulties that may come during the day or the challenges that we may have to face. No? So we must look carefully and be mindful for the new mercies God has in store or God has in mind for us every day, so that instead of bitterness, we are grateful. Okay? So, nasa na ba tayo? Letter M, no? Dalawa din yung ano ko kanina dito sa M na to, no? For M, sabi ko dito, move towards God at all times. Move towards God at all times, regardless of the circumstance, pleasant or unpleasant, no? And meet with God consistently in prayer, in praise, and in worship, so that we do not lose sight of His faithfulness and His compassion that He constantly shows to us, according to Lamentations 3:31 and 32. Now, let me read Nahum 1:7. Ito yung sabi niya. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and He knows those who take refuge in Him. He is our stronghold in the day of trouble, and He knows those who take refuge in Him. So let God be our stronghold, and let us take refuge in Him alone. So let's constantly move towards God at all times, whatever experiences we may be having. So um, let the presence of God be more real to us. Not that God is not present or real, pero yung awareness kasi natin ng presence na yon, yung compassion niya na yon, importante yon. Let's pay attention to it. So, be intentional about moving towards God at all times. Okay, yung ito, hindi na rin bago ito, no? So, inquire of the Lord when you are troubled and during trying times, no? So yung inquiry natin palagi naman yon, but I think especially during trying times, no? Example natin si Job diyan na marami siya naging tanong sa Panginoon, not to question God and His ways or purposes in his life, but he was looking for understanding and wisdom so that he can respond accordingly, no? So ang tanong natin when we inquire of the Lord, when we are going through difficulties and challenges in life, ay, Lord, what is it that you are telling me? Tapos, let's also ask, Lord, how do you want me to respond? Because even the response, God is the one who enables us to respond accordingly, not in a bitter way. No? Uh, hindi po tamang tanong yung, bakit naman Lord? O, bakit naman ako Lord? No? Kasi mapupunta tayo doon sa perspective na the Lord has caused all this trouble upon me. He has caused me to suffer pagka gano'n ang mga tanong natin. But to simply ask, Lord, especially, kunyari, katulad dito mga panahon na ito, no? Why did God allow this virus or this pandemic to come upon us and the whole world and different nations? So God is telling us something. Individually, corporately, at church, tayo as a country on other nations, no? Where this is also happening. But people are not asking the right questions. Laging, why God? Bakit naman dito? Ba't naman ganito? Pinabayaan mo kami, ganyan-ganyan. No? But the right question is to, what is it God is telling us? And how would God want us to respond these days? No? So, let's not miss the opportunity to receive an answer from God Himself by not asking the right question. No? Lagi kong naaalala yung sa Jeremiah 33:3 where God invites us, na sabi niya, call on me. So, hindi lang yun sa prayer, but calling also includes inquiring and waiting upon the Lord. So, sabi niya, call on me and I will answer. No? Isn't that awesome? God answers us. Tapos hindi lang yun, ang sabi niya pa doon, and I will show you great and mighty things which you do not know. Kaya nga tayo mag-inquire kasi sabi nga niya doon, we do not know. So if you want to know, we must call, we must inquire and wait upon the Lord. No? So I'm wondering, ano kaya kung nag-inquire si Naomi, palagay ko na naiba rin ang kanyang naging response at saka perspective doon sa difficulties that she has faced. God understands our pain and perplexities when we are in trouble. Kaya nga isa yun sa sinabi, no, that we do not have a high priest who is unable to identify with our difficulties and suffering because He Himself suffered on the cross. So hindi stranger ang Panginoon sa ating mga suffering and pain and perplexities and fears that we have, no, when we are in trouble. So God understands that. And the promise is that He is our ever-present help in trouble. He has a purpose for the trials He allows to come our way, even if we don't always understand that purpose or know His reasons for allowing it. So let me read, and we will end with this. Let me read 1 Peter 1:6-7 sa New Living Translation. 1 Peter 1:6-7. Ganito yung response ni Peter. Sabi niya, so be truly glad. No? There is wonderful joy ahead. Sabi niya. Even though you have to endure, sabi niya, there is wonderful joy ahead, even though you have to endure many trials. Yan, many talaga yan, no? For a little while. So yung perspective niya, you can be glad kasi merong joy that you can look forward to. Yung sabi nga natin, ano, you must begin with the end in mind. So si Peter, ang end niya, there is joy ahead. So even if we have to endure many trials, sabi niya, and for a little while, sabi niya, uh, there, these trials, sabi niya, will show that your faith is genuine. So number one. Yun ang isang purpose dyan. That it is means a step by which our faith can be tested kung genuine siya o totoo siya o ano lang tayo. Yung tawag ng iba, mga fair weather Christians. Kamukha ni Job, no? Sabi niya, should we accept good and not bad from the hand of God? So sa kanya, whatever the situation is, magtitiwala pa rin siya sa Panginoon. So yun yung isang mark palagay ko ng sinasabi dito ni Peter na our faith is genuine. No? Hindi siya nasusway ng ating situation. No? Pag pleasant, okay. Pag unpleasant, wala na tayo. No? So, yun ang isang purpose dyan. It will show that your faith is genuine. That this faith, it is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Yan. So, refinement din siya. At the same time, sabi niya, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. Mas mahalaga, mas importante ang ating pagtitiwala at paniniwala sa Panginoon kaysa sa gold. Sabi niya, although yun yung isang purpose, it's a picture of the refinement that fire in the form of trials does to our faith. No, it purifies it, it strengthens it, no? It tests our faith, no? Like fire to gold. But our faith is more precious than gold. So, sabi niya, when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. So ito yung end, yung praise, glory, and honor that will be revealed when the day Jesus Christ comes. So alam na natin na we are on the end times, ano? So that ito yung perspective that Peter is exhorting us to have about trials. So, difficulties cause, difficulties come to us for a reason. So, kamukha nung sinabi ni Peter dyan, and only for a season. Okay, let me repeat. Difficulties come to us for a reason and only for a season. Kaya sabi ni Peter dyan, although you experience or you have to endure many trials for a little while. So may season siya, may ending siya. No? It will also come to pass. So I hope that this encourages us na hindi senseless yung challenges, yung being able to endure trials and difficulties because there is a reason and only for a season. So, actually, it should enable us to be Naomi. That is pleasant. Yung pagkatao natin, we become better and not Mara. That is bitter. So, let's be Naomi and not Mara. God bless all of us today and enable us to be blessed even when we have to endure many trials. For our reflection, I'd like us to look back at the last 6 months of 2020. Yan, nangalahati na yung taon, ano? Tapos ibang-iba talaga yung ating mga karanasan, no? So, with what is happening around us and this pandemic, Are there any losses or difficulties that you have experienced or perhaps still experiencing? What are these? And how have you been responding? And if you have inquired of the Lord, what has the Lord been telling you about uh, this situation and this experience that we are in? Are there insights that you have received from Him about this? Tapos yung next question natin, in what ways have you experienced God's grace and faithfulness during this time of difficulty or challenge to us? No? Sabi nga doon sa ating binasa kanina, He also shows compassion. So in what ways have you seen God's compassion in your life in the midst of this pandemic? By the way, hindi natin alam kung kailan talaga matatapos ito, and there are people, and especially these days, there is news that there is another potential pandemic, this time coming from swine naman. No? So, hindi natin talaga alam na people are looking at the vaccine or the drug that will be invented to be a to put a stop to the virus, pero we are not looking at the vaccine to deliver us. God is the only one who can deliver us from this deadly pestilence and what is yet to come. Now, make a list of those ways in which you have seen God's compassion and faithfulness to you during this pandemic. 6 months na yun halos, and we don't know how long it will be, kung tuloy-tuloy pa ba itong ganitong experience natin. And many people say hanggang mga 2 to 3 years pa na maiiba na talaga ang ating pamumuhay. So, look at the ways in which you have experienced God's compassion and faithfulness in your life and in your family. And take time to share about those 2 points, yung losses and difficulties, how you have been responding, and what God has been telling you from those experiences, as well as share about how you have also experienced and seen God's compassion and faithfulness in the midst of all these challenges and these trying times that we are all in. So, again, the Lord bless each one of us. Thank you, and hear you again next week. Stay negative, but be positive. Okay?